Are you looking for the perfect way to cook for a gathering of any size? Today, you're in for a special treat as we whip up a Greek gyro on the Flaming Coals Cyprus Spit with a side dish of eggplant and garlic dip. Perfect for any occasion, absolutely magical for Easter. Gyro is one of my favourite ways to cook for a group of people. It's absolutely perfect for 18th birthdays or 21st birthdays when people are coming in dribs and drabs throughout the day. You simply pop it on the spit, let it cook, shave the outer inch, and then let it continue cooking some more. So it's perfect, so you've got that constantly freshly shaved meat all throughout the day. So for today's lamb gyro, I'm using a deboned lamb shoulder. Now you can already get it trimmed up directly from the butcher, but today, just to show you how easy it is, I've bought this from the supermarket. It's already been deboned, and as you can see, it's already netted into a rolled roast. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the net so we can start slicing it up for gyro. So as you can see, a lamb shoulder is actually quite fatty, so we're just going to trim some of that excess fat off. So here we have our deboned lamb shoulder. The first thing we're going to do is cut it into nice thin strips, about 1 centimetre thick, and we're going to cut it no bigger than the size of our gyro disc. Now this particular gyro disc is about 150 mil round in diameter, so we don't want to go any larger than that. And as you'll see a bit later on, the reason we use a disc rather than using a prong is because it is much easier to secure the gyro between two flat discs where we can really wedge it together. And also when it comes to carving, it's easier to carve against a flat surface rather than trying to dodge the pointy ends of the spike. Here we have 5 kilos of lamb shoulder, all sliced up and cut to size. Now it's time to season with the Flaming Coals Greek gyros rub. This rub is intentionally made quite fine, so it will really seep into the meat. Now ideally, you will season the meat overnight to add that extra kick of flavour. While we allow our seasoning to penetrate into the meat, we're going to get the fire started. While our fire is coming up to temperature, we're going to put our lamb onto the skewer. So I've put the second gyro disc on, press them both in really tight so our lamb doesn't move during the cook, and now it's time to put it over the fire. Usually when cooking on a spit, I like to use the 7-second rule, which means you should be able to hold your hand there for 7 seconds to know whether or not your meat is at the correct height over the fire. But with gyro, because we're essentially just going to cook that outer inch, then shave it off and then cook another inch through, that means you can actually have it much closer to the fire at a higher temperature. While our gyros is cooking, we're going to make a roasted eggplant and garlic dip. Now before we pop it on the grill, what we need to do is make small incisions into the eggplant to stop them from exploding during the cook. You can either use a skewer or just make the small incisions using a knife. We've just taken our eggplants off the grill. They're nice and soft. The next thing we need to do is cut them in half and scoop out the centre. Now we've scooped out our eggplants, we need to mash it up before we add our garlic. Now our eggplant's all mashed up, we're going to get our crushed garlic. Now I like it quite garlicky, so I'm going to add quite a bit in there. We also have some finely chopped parsley. We'll season with some salt. Freshly squeezed lemon juice. And some olive oil. And we'll mix it together, and we might just keep on adding some more lemon juice and olive oil, and we'll just keep tasting it to see how it turns out. Our lamb's been cooking for about 30 minutes, so it's time to give it a baste. Here I have a mixture of olive oil and lemon juice. Now I like the mixture to be quite lemony, so I do a mixture of 50-50. Now I'm only using a basting brush today, but another great way to infuse some flavour is to use some rosemary sprigs. Now, because we use oil to baste our meat, you do need to be careful of flare-ups. So always make sure you have a rake handy to be able to disperse the coals, just to make sure you don't get a fat fire. Our gyro has been cooking now for 90 minutes, so we're ready for our first carve. Now, I find it easier to carve using an electric carving knife and also to get a second person in just to stop and start the motor. I also love using the stainless steel gyro carving shovel. It's got a really long handle and it's got a huge surface area to catch all the meat as it's carving off. Now that we've done our first carve, I like to rebaste the meat and then apply a little bit more gyro rub. Now, the great thing when you're cooking gyro is you have a lot of control over how fast and slow it cooks. So if from our first carve we have plenty of meat, what we can do is we can slow it down simply by raising the height of the skewer that's sitting over the charcoal. Or if we're a bit pressed for time and we need some more meat, we can simply lower it down closer to the fire to speed things up a little. This gyro is smelling absolutely amazing and I can't wait to take a bite. It's absolutely perfect for just picking up a bit, dipping into the dip and grazing all day long. It's my favourite. Thank you so much for watching. For the full details and the recipe, please click on the link below, leave us a comment, give us a huge thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to see more great videos just like this one.